Hello all, good morning. Let's start the today's session. In the previous class, we are discussing about the how to create a developer edition. Just for our practice and for learning purpose, we have seen how to create the edition, like developer edition. We have created one trial account as well. This is our organization URL. Just we created a trial account. And to create a trial account, developer.salesforce.com is the sign up. So actually, in the yesterday session, I have given just basic terminology and what is the terminology we are going to use in Salesforce application and how to create a trial account by using this particular URL. And we have given the terminology and just explained the user interface, how the front-end user interface looks and feel will be there. I mean to say look and feel. So I have explained the functionality wise, how the page will be looks and about the setup page and taken an example of Sales Cloud and shown the front end screen functionality which is available, like global actions, what is classic application, what is lightning experience application, and what is app launcher, what is tabs, what is objects, and where we can access the list of objects available in the system. These are all the stuffs which we are seeing in the yesterday's session. Right. Today, let's discuss about how to set up your company's information and all. So here we have created an organization, and today let's see how to set up your company information. After you're creating your account, you need to set your company information, right? Like, and you need to understand what is the storage and all. Then we can see how to create an user and what we need to consider while creating a user. Let's discuss all these stuffs today. And if time permits, I will start the data model as well, which is very important, like core for the Salesforce CR. So to make you understand, let me log into my Salesforce account, which we created yesterday. To access the application, as we said, once you created any trial account, you no need to remember this particular URL. Right? You no need to remember the organization URL. Instead of it, simply type it, go with this login.salesforce.com and provide your credentials there, like username and password. So here we are not using the mail ID which you provided, but the username while creating the trial account, we have provided yaksha35@it.com, right? That's the username you need to use while logging into the system. And this is the setup page as discussing yesterday. And I have explained like app launcher and all everything. Now today, let's see how to set up your company's information, right? So to work with this company information, now here we have the user, right? So user which has the user information where yesterday I am talking about the user and all. We'll see that user information once we've seen the company's information and all, right? So why? Because now yesterday we have taken an example of the Audi car here. Once they decided to purchase a Salesforce to have this marketing, sales, and service, they have created some account and to explore the instance, to explore the Salesforce, they what this company information in the sense. What is their business hours? What is their financial year? Is there any holidays? What is the resource available? What is their data protection? And this all, what is the language settings? I mean to say, the user can access only in English or different languages is available. If they have any calendars, office calendars like holiday calendar and all, right? So this whole setup will be done in the setup there, so that whenever the user is accessing, they can make use of this particular settings there. This is something settings, organization settings, we can call it as. To start with this anything, so in the setup page, this is called quick find view, a quick find. This control is quick find. This is a search box. This search is just used to search the data, as I said yesterday. This is used to search the data in any object. Again, what is object? It is like table. Just from now, I'm going to refer it as object only, as that is the reason we have discussed about the terminology yesterday. This object is nothing but the table in the database. In Salesforce, we are referring it as object, right? Here, this particular search will allows you to search the data in any objects. Here in the setup, this quick find will allows you to search the functionality or whatever the configuration you are performing here. So instead of navigating there, you can make use of this quick find to search. Now, just I would like to go with company information. So search with the company information in this quick find. So it will take you directly to that particular navigation there. Here, company settings, you have the company settings, right? In this company settings, business hours, when this business hours like 9 to 5, maybe your business hours, or EMEA shift like 1 to 10 p.m., like the organization business hours you can set here. And coming to this calendars, public calendars and resources, which talks about is there any public holidays, and coming to this resources. Maybe in your organization, you may have different conference rooms and different projectors and all with the conference rooms in the conference room. And this resources is something which you can maintain whether that resource is available or not. Let's say if you are working in any IT company, your project team members would like to have some conference, avail some conference room for your project meeting, so that you can maintain the calendars for the resources. Here, resource is nothing but the conference room for your understanding, right? You can have some calendar for this resource so that you can book the resources, and in that way you can maintain these resources. And let's see this all the stuff here, like holidays, financial year and all, where this is the place where you have set the company's information. Click on this company information. This is while we are creating this trial account, we have provided the organization name as Yaksha IT Solutions and the primary contact Yaksha IT 35. This is my username which I created, right? And address and financial by default, it takes, we have selected the geolocation as IN, that is India, and financial year starts in January. By default, it will take January. And newsletter enabled, admin newsletter enabled, and you can have some address and geolocations and all, right? So here, just you need to check here, what is the organization edition here? This is developer edition. In the previous, like in the demo session, I have explained like there are different editions we have to work with to have the, I mean to say the Salesforce, like unlimited, professional, enterprise, and group edition and all that. So this is like developer edition, which we are using to create a trial account. This shows developer editions, right? And for every instance, for every organization, instance, what is this instance and organization? Just try to understand the terminology here. Organization is nothing but now this is your organization URL, right? Maybe you have different applications there, or you have different instances. I mean to say, dev is one instance, UAT is one instance, test is one instance, or production is another instance. You can also treat in that way, or otherwise, maybe you are using Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, and Marketing Clouds there. But you can also make it as Sales Cloud as one instance and Service Cloud as another instance. In that way, you can figure out the different instances as well. The terminology-wise, organization URL, this comes under your organization, or also you can refer it as instance. No offense in using this terminology, right? For every organization, there will be some organization ID. This is your organization ID. That means whenever you are raising a ticket to the Salesforce, they will check with your organization ID only. So all the telemetry related to your instance, all the telemetry will be taken care by this organization ID. This is unique. Once the instance is created, automatically system creates some ID in the backend. So whatever the tickets or whatever the things we are doing, that everything is fetched by using this organization ID only, right? And who created and who modified this, it provides the user information. Here it shows user licenses. After taking an edition, like one of the developer edition, here it shows what are the licenses available for this developer edition. Here it shows Salesforce. To work with your Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, Marketing Cloud and all, so you need to have the Salesforce license. As this is developer edition, the free licenses we have, it is only 2 licenses we have. 2 licenses we are having in the developer edition as a free account. As why? Because this is like free edition. But if you want to have more, this, as I said, like different editions here, right? Unlimited, professional, and enterprise. What are these difference? For unlimited, there is no limitation in the license. For professional, there is some package sort of scenario. For enterprise, anyway, again, another sort. So this is the count which it differs based upon the editions. Not only user license, but also with the API limits that I'm going to discuss. Here, now let's, as we have taken the developer edition, That means I can have only 2 Salesforce licenses I can avail. In it, one license already consumed by my Yaksha IT 35 for this user. I already provided one Salesforce license, right? Now to work with to learn this functionality, I can create one more user. That's it by using this Salesforce license, right? But if you are working with Salesforce integration part, again, one user is available. Sorry, one license is available. So you can provide one license to another user for Salesforce integration and all, right? This is some of the licenses is available. So to understand, so as a consultant, maybe it's not that much, there is no questionnaire in the interviews regarding the licenses and all, but at least one license should be assigned to the user. That information is sufficient. But if you are interested and if you are more interested to know in detail about the licenses, there will be license guide provided by the Salesforce. This is just for your interest only. There is no questionnaire in the interviews as well regarding the licenses. Just you need to understand at least one user should have one license. So in order to access the Salesforce account, right? That is like mandatory. And to have this user licenses scenario, what are the licenses provided by the Salesforce CRM? Just you can go through this document, help.salesforce.com. So you just for reading like a paper, just to explore what is happening with the licensing part. Right, this you can refer this document. I will share this document to you in the notes, which I'm going to share these notes in the WhatsApp group there. And you can go through that notes, but I mean to say this, just go randomly, you can read the information. That's more than sufficient. And as I said, one license should be provided for user in order to access the Salesforce here. And what is this permission set licenses? So based upon the licenses, you are going to provide some access to some of the applications there, right? And this also will cover in this licensing guide. If you want to have some features like it says marketing user, 2 licenses. This, if you provide the Salesforce license, automatically this marketing user will be consumed. Now I have provided Salesforce for 1 license used for Yaksha IT 35. That means I can also able to access as a marketing user. Total licenses to 1 is consumed. That means, let me take a duplicate tab here. Here in this app launcher, I could see the marketing, right? Marketing cloud there. I could see marketing. So here view all. I could see list of applications available. So you can work as marketing CRM classic, marketing application user. So that's what, based upon these licenses, you can access the applications or not, right? And Apex mobile user, offline user. So these are the different licenses provided. So based upon the licenses, you can provide access to your users. So if you have large users in your organization, many users are working, then those companies will go for enterprise, or if it is unlimited, then go with the unlimited, so that there is no limitation for the licenses at all. And usage-based entitlements. What is this entitlements? Entitlement is nothing but, as you may aware of it, entitlement is nothing but this is a contract or some agreement between us and Salesforce. Like as I have taken one account here, like developer account. Now let's say if you take the unlimited edition there. So to provide the service, the Salesforce should have some agreement with you, so that this is an entitlement which explains you what is the option, how many resources it is going to provide in a month. Now let's say API request limit per month, it's at 4,50,000 monthly. So for every month, I can use API request 4,50,000. What is this API request? I mean to say whatever the request you are sending to the server, or whatever you are making some transactions there. So each and everything comes under like one request, right? So that means maximum of 4,50,000 requests, API requests I can make in a month. So for every month, it is going to have 4,50,000 based upon my purchase on this application, this edition. So based upon this edition, this API limits and all will be changed. And here it shows resource ID, it's like tenant. That means it is like tenant level. The tenant level in the sense, now let's say in one tenant, we can have multiple instances, right? Instances again, like you may have dev instance, UAT, production, and QA. So it includes all the instances count in that particular tenant. This tenant is nothing but, again, this new thing which you are seeing here. Tenant is nothing but this is the space provided for you so that you can have some multiple instances there. You can create dev instance, quality acceptance, and UAT for user acceptance test and production. So now let's say here we have created one organization URL, right? Here you have created one, this is my one instance, maybe. This is my let's say this is my developer instance, right? This URL. And in the same way, I will create for QA one instance, UAT another, and for production another. That means I have 4 instances where I can develop my functionality in this developer instance, and quality acceptance will be done here, and user acceptance will be done once this is once they provide the go ahead, and I will move the solution to the production. This is of course the deployment process, which we'll see in the coming classes about the deployment processes and all. But all these instances will be in one particular tenant. This is the space where you are having all these instances in one place. That is nothing but your tenant. That is, one tenant can have multiple instances. Getting my point? Now let's come back to this usage-based entitlement. This API request limit per month, resource ID, it is like tenant. This 4,50,000 will be for not only for one instance, this is for all the instances available in the tenant, which includes, right? So if this is not sufficient for you, then you need to purchase the licenses. You need to purchase more API requests there. So that's like how you are purchasing your Salesforce licenses. That's what the editions comes into the picture. Like we have different editions like unlimited, professional, enterprise, and all, right? Here for this developer edition, we have these limitations, right? For the Salesforce, it is 2 licenses, and for API request, it is like 4,50,000. This actually, this page, this company's information page, will provide you the basic idea, like how many licenses you have and how much, what are the entitlements you have with the different functionalities. This talks about the company's information. Now let's see one by one here. Business hours. Now let's say if you want to set up some business hours to your company, right? Just give me a second. I'm getting a call from there. Yeah, sorry about it. So here, the company's information, once you purchase the license or once you taken this developer editions and all, what we will do, we will set up our company's information. In this company's information, we are able to see what is the entitlements or what is the limits and all. We could see that information here. Now, what is this business hours? Now, let's say your business hours is from 9 to 5 maybe. Then you can set this business hours. Why this is required in the sense? We have some profiles concept. In the coming days, we are seeing that profile concept. Based upon the profile, you can also restrict the users to access your Salesforce account outside of your business hours. Getting my point? So here to have this business hours, now let's say this, general format. So if you want to have some, whatever the time zone, you can select the time zone. Maybe your business hours is from business, not for 24 hours. You can go with 9 to 8, 9 to 5. In that way, you can set some business hours here. So based upon the business hours you are providing here, you can create some profiles. I will explain you what is profiles and all. That means based upon the profile, you can restrict some of the users not to log in, even though they provide the credentials there. Still, the system will restrict to access your application outside of this business hours. So this business hours is like important. Usually in the banking sector, they will have this business hours so that after 9 to 6 or something, they will restrict the users to access their service, to access their applications. That is also possible. We'll see in depth about while discussing on the profiles. And public calendar and resources, as you know, for every company, there is some public calendars which provides the holidays or whatever the upcoming events and all. These have the public calendars where you can create some new calendars here, right? And coming to these resources, as I said, maybe you have some conference rooms and all, like such as use resource calendars to manage resources such as conference rooms and projectors. So if you are providing some calendars here regarding your resources, so that whenever the whenever if your team required to have some if they want to use some conference rooms for meetings and all, they can make use of this calendar to see the resource availability, right? This usually happens, right? Whatever, if you go to any MNC company, they will maintain everything in a systematic order so that they can book something from their websites. So this is public calendars and resources which maintains the calendar information. We have seen the company's information and data protection and privacy. Now let's say based upon each and every company, based upon the region again, UK, United Kingdom region has some separate data protection privacy policies there. And for US, separate data privacy. This will allows you to have some data protection policy. That means if you automatically select this particular data protection based upon the geolocation, based upon their local bodies data protection policies, the Salesforce will take care of it data protection policies and all. To just give you an example, now let's say if you are working with the US client, right? If you are working with the US client and if you would like to access the US information, US person contact information, then you should be in the US region only. If you are outside of the US country, like if you are working from India, maybe you are a consultant working, you are giving some support to the US person. Even though you are in the Salesforce company, but you are providing to your customer only, but you should not able to see the particular details, personal details of the US country. Maybe the phone number, email, based upon the data protection and privacy policies. These data protection and privacy policies can be enabled. This is like strict actually. So this needs to be like make data protection details available in records. This once you select this option, by default, this should be selected only, so that the Salesforce will automatically take care of this data protection rules and all based upon the region. So it will automatically mask some of the unrevealed data, I mean to say, right? And financial year, fiscal year. So the companies maybe by default it is January. If you want to make it some March to, let's say from April to March, then you can select this one. So you can set some your financial year here, so that whatever the reports you are seeing, if you select with the while you are generating some reports in terms of revenue or whatever the things. So if you go with the fiscal years, it will take from the March there. So this is one-time setup in your admin page, in your setup page, where you are going to configure your company's information. And holidays and up here in the public calendars, you are going to have some events and all that. Here the holidays list, if you have any holidays to your company and all, usually in our companies as well, we could see the holiday calendar, right? That's you are going to set up holidays here. And this language settings, this is like good option, I mean to say. Now, let's say you are working in one company like Infosys. Maybe you are working as a consultant or the product which you are designing. Maybe this is throughout the globe, this application is being used, but you are from some other country with maybe with the Japanese language. So now as an user, Suresh, I'm just logging into the system and I would like to see the data in English. So this will provide you access. That means this will provide you an option so that user can see in their own language. Now, let's say these are the languages which is currently provided by the Salesforce, like French and different languages we have, right? Spanish, Arabian and all. So here you are controlling your system so that whether your users can access your system in other languages or not. For that, you don't need to install anything. Simply enable this one, enable end user languages, so that they can use your particular application in these languages, right? and enable platform only languages. No default translation are provided for platform only languages. Platform only languages in the sense, now let's say if you are accessing some applications here, the labels and all, it will automatically convert it. Here, whatever the languages you should provide, you are looking to provide to the user, that you need to select there. If you don't want to provide the Japanese, just remove it. This is how you can remove and add the languages there. Once you click on save, that means these languages will be supported now. All this language, your application or the information, your system can be accessed in these many languages. Right? Now, let's say you are from India, you can access English. Some of the user logs into the system with the Japanese there. They can access the system in Japanese language, as simple as that. Right? Here, what is this my domain? My domain will show you your current domain URL. So this is your domain URL, and this is your domain name. And the standard, here Yaksha IT Solutions 16 dev ed, and the standard .my.salesforce.com, which it adds. Of course, it is like developer edition, so it shows dev-ed, but usually this is your standard, and this is your going to be domain name, right? And there is some routing policies. This routing policies is something. Now let's say here google.com. So if you type this one, still it will route to the google.com. So you are routing your URL from one URL to another URL. Right? If you type the GOGLE, still it routed to google.com, just for an understanding, right? So here you can also route. There is a routing option where you can give some URL, so that if the user selects that URL, it will automatically route to the URL. This routing and policies we'll see in depth, in detail in the coming classes. That means routing and policies will be taken care here, right? This is how the company's information will be set up. Now we have understand, like after purchasing the developer, after taking the developer editions and all, now you know what is company information and where to set up this company information. But if you are working with one instance or one organization, so you need to be aware of what is the storage. Storage is like crucial thing. Storage going to play a vital role, right? So while you are working with some application, you need to bother about the storage and all that. So how the storage is happening there. So to understand the storage, let's go to the storage here. Search for the storage. Storage usage. One second. Yeah, here the storage, you could see the data storage usage. That means for every the database here, this will be segregated into the database, automatically segregated into three parts. One is data and files and big data. So the data will be segregated in three ways here: data storage, file storage, and big data. What actually this means? Now let's say based upon the licenses and all, you have allotted with 100 GB. Let's say you have allotted with 100 GB of database space, right? Salesforce CRM will automatically segregate this data into three partitions. Now let's say here, this is just for your understanding only. 10 GB for data, maybe 30 GB for the files, and remaining 60 GB for big data. This is how the data can be, the storage can be partitioned. Now let's say I have the one object like account, right? Account is an object. Let's say I have one object here. That means what actually I will use this object. I use this object for adding my data, like one Suresh and all, proof as PAN card. Just for your example, this is my data, right? This data, these records will be stored in this data space. And let's say here it is asking for my files, like attachments. I am attaching some data like my proof, right? And my CV or whatever. Just for your understanding, my CV and my statements and all. It is asking to attach my details there. So these files, everything will be stored in this file section, in this 30 GB. And what is this big data? Again, this big data information, there might be, let's say you are having some objects where you need to have a lot of data you need to add in that particular object. Here account, it's like less information we are capturing. But now let's say I have one more object like nodes, where I need to maintain all the nodes about that particular record. So for each and every record, I'm going to have huge data for each and every record. So these type of objects will be created as a big object. This can be created as big object. Whenever you are creating an object, as I said, there is two objects, right? One is standard object and one is custom object. That means standard in the sense which is already available in the system. While creating a custom object in itself, instead of if you are going to save huge data there, instead of going with the simple object, we are going to create a big object there. So that means we are telling the system that we are going to have huge data in this particular object. So then system will automatically create this object information in this particular space. Getting my point? This is how the Salesforce will take care of it. You no need to worry about the partition and all. Based upon the licenses or based upon the database you have purchased, the system will automatically take care of it. And system will segregate the data into data storage, file storage, and big object storage. Right? This is the three parts here. Now here, if you see here current data storage usage, the record type is nothing but what are the objects here. The record type is nothing but, now let's say account is one record type, contacts is one record type, all the objects here. So what is the object information here? Accounts I have 13 record count. How these records are available? After creating a developer edition like file account, Salesforce will provide some dummy data. So just to understand what actually this particular application on. So there is account, we have some data there, right? So the data currently it is like 13 records, which occupy 26 KB, and total percentage usage of the storage, it is like 8%. So it will provide full picture on how the database is occupied by which object and all. Current file storage regarding these files, there is one record type photos. We have two photos there and 13 KB, right? And big object, there is no big objects got created in the system. So there is no data occupied by big objects. And coming to this users, which user has created, like by which user the data is created. Now let's say Yaksha IT 35 is my user. I have created some records or whatever the configuration I done, it occupies 274 KB. So 82% is created by the Yaksha IT 35 users. And top users by file storage. So is there any file storage, and this file from which object you are trying to, from by which user files got uploaded. This is Chatter Expert, and this is like system system users. This is how it shows about the storage. So to understand the storage, why the storage is required in the sense, if the storage is keep on increasing, that will cost to the company, right? So they need to purchase more space. If you are going with the real-time data, the production, there is like thousands and thousands of records of them. The data, the customers and their activities and everything, they are going to manage them. So if the data is going to be like huge, so you need to keep an eye on this, so that whenever the data storage is randomly it is increasing, then you need to take care the wise decision to delete unwanted data there. Now let's say here, to see here data storage, it's like 5 MB. For file storage, it is 20 MB. Big object storage, it is 10,000 or 1 lakh. This is the limitation, because as I said, the data, the storage is segregated into three parts. With the three in this way, the big object storage will be used to have a lot of data can be stored there, right? This is about the storage information. Now we understand, like now you know what is Salesforce and what is CRM and all, and how to create a trial account, and what is the basic information about UI part, user interface, and how to set up the company's information, And regarding the storage, we already see. Now, what would be the next action plan here? So to start using this particular functionality, we should have some users, right? So now let's see how to create an user and what we need to consider while creating an user, right? To start with this user, in this administration, you can see the users, or otherwise you can use the quick find here, search with the users. I practically use this quick find for anything instead of going the navigations along, right? Click on users here. So this is the list of users which is available in the system, and these three are like system users created by the system, and this is Yaksha IT 35, which is like system administrator. Currently, I am using this particular role, particular user there. So to start to create To create the new user, click on this new user here. And this is the page where you need to create the user, right? So to start with this user, what are the points you need to consider here? So here we need to understand to create an user. The main things here like role, user license, and right? Role, user license, and profile are the three things which is very important while creating an user. Now, as I said, this this red mark is like all the required fields. As you know, you need to provide these required fields while filling the details there. Now, this role is nothing but this role will act as your designation, like CEO, CFO, sales representative, or marketing team, or sales team, or whatever. This role will decide, is nothing but your designation in your company, right? And this user licenses, as I said, based upon the editions, you are going to get some licenses there. Here I could see the Salesforce. In the limitation we have seen, right? There is two Salesforce licenses, one already consumed by this Yaksha IT 35 user and another license which we could see. Now, if I create a Salesforce here for another user, next time I'm not able to see this Salesforce. This will be removed. Whatever the available license, that only will be visualized here, right? Now, coming to this profile is going to be a key role in order to have some security concepts. I mean to say, to make you understand, in the olden days, the Nokia mobile or something, we have different profiles there, right? We have different profiles. That means based upon the profile, of course, now in the sense, now itself in the Apple phone, you could see, you can have some different profiles where if you select some work profile there, so that mobile will be in silent mode. You can set the settings for whenever the ring is coming, it is in silent. If you select another profile, like the ringtone is different, the theme and the background color is different, and background image is different. So that in this profile, what we are doing, we are configuring some settings so that based upon your profile selection, you are making some different theme, different colors and all, right? That's for the mobile thing. In Salesforce, this profile will be used in such a way that, so based upon the profile, you are providing access to the different users on different objects. Getting my point? Now, let's say I have the marketing user. So this marketing user should not have access to my sales application. And I should not provide access to sales application to this marketing user, even though he is my employee. But as his role is only for the marketing, he is not required to have the sales cloud there. So why should I give access to that? So for that, how you are restricting the user to provide access there? By using this profiles only. So whatever the component you are going to create in Salesforce, like whenever you are trying to create an object or when you are creating a field, whatever, you are going to control the access of that object or that field by using this profile only. From today, like every day, we are going to see this profile. That means any object you are trying to create, that will be taken care by this profile only, right? But here simply marketing user, these are the standard profiles. Standard profiles in the sense which is provided by the system. You can also customize the profiles. I mean to say you can also create some custom profiles or you can also customize the existing profile. So how to do that, I will discuss in the coming class. But for now, let's try to create an user and what we need to consider for creating the user. As I said here, roles, right? What is this roles? Just explain marketing team and all. So here, let me go to these roles here before going to the user. This is just for your understanding of roles. This is like self-explanatory provided by the Salesforce. Here, now let's say if it is territory based, this is just for your sample role hierarchy experience, right? Territory based sample. Here is some executive CEO president, and under CEO it was some Western sales director and Eastern sales director internal. And to it again, this person is going to be a subordinate, and this is going to be superior for this Western sales director. Here for this Western sales director, the CEO is going to be a superior, and the sales representative is going to be a subordinate. Just remember this terminology. This is superior and this is subordinate, right? That means this is like role hierarchy where you are going to define in your system. That means who is going to report to which user, right? Now, if it is like product based, again, CEO, president of CEO, vice president sales, and hardware, software, and networking. These three will reports to CEO, president. And again, hardware sales representative will reports to vice president of hardware, and vice president of hardware will reports to CEO, president. So this is how the role hierarchy will be maintained. This company said just three examples here, right? This is how you are going to have some roles there. So before creating an users, you can set up your roles based upon your organization style. Click on setup roles here. Here currently it shows CEO is my top, Yaksha IT Solution is my company, and CEO is like one of the role. Expand this one. You could see CFO reports to CEO, COO reports to CEO, and these all reports to CEO. Now let's go with COO. There is no here. SVP. And here customer support international will reports to SVP. SVP will reports to CEO. This is the role hierarchy, right? So if you want to create new role, now let's say if I want to create new role here, just click on add role. Maybe sales test role, just for your understanding. This role name automatically picked by the system. This is something API name or the schema name, which the system will refer the names by this particular name only. So this will automatically taken by the whatever the label you are providing with the same name, it is going to be taken. The suggestion here is like the label and role name should be the same. You should not make the two different names here. That will cause the confusion. Why? In the sense, I will explain it in clearly. Here, this role reports to which user, like SVP, sales, and marketing. Same. Right? This is how you can create some roles and role hierarchy there. Now, let's go with the roles again. Set up roles. And here, we have created, under which we have created. There. Yeah, sales and marketing, I guess. Here, sales test role. We have created sales test role, which reports to sales and marketing. So this is how you can create some test roles, and you can add this role to some users. You can assign this roles to some other users so that you can add some user here. Whoever the user is available, you can select Yaksha IT 31 and add this role so that this user can be with that particular role. This is how the roles. You know what is roles and all, right? This is simple. In your organization, let's say if you are in the Infosys or TCS, there is consultant, senior consultant, team leader, manager, architect, business analyst, and all, right? In the same way, who reports to who? What is the role in your company? That's what we will decide this role here. While creating a user, we can have some roles in your organization. So if you want to create a new role, we are already seen how to create a new role. But coming to this licenses, here we are not going to create any licenses by addition or by the package which you took the license. Based upon it, it will show the licenses available there. Now let's try to create one new user here. Like Ashok is the new user, and maybe alias name automatically picked by the user, and email here Ashok. Let me go with 35 only @it.com. This is my user's email. Here, of course, @it.com is not there. Just I'm going with the dummy here, and the title like Mr. and company. It's like Yaksha IT Solutions. Right? And department, maybe I'm having some departments here. He will work in my IT department, and if there is any division, you can go in. And as I said, these mandatory fields are need to be filled mandatory, remaining you can ignore it. So here it shows whether he is going to be like offline user or knowledge user, flow user, what is this of? So while discussing all the clouds and all, then you can come to some knowledge there. So here I'm just going to provide Salesforce so that he can also have some functionality. He can develop the functionality and whatever. So I'm just going with the Salesforce. And so if he is like Salesforce, he can use all the sales, service, and marketing and all. So I'm not going to select that. But if I want to only use some particular cloud, you can give it. But if he is having the Salesforce in the then he can have access to entire system. Now this is like, as I said, all the information, like basic information which you need to provide. If they have any phone number, extension and all, you are going to provide this information. And mailing address of the candidate you can provide. and sign on information, like if you have any authentication purpose, you can use this thing. This we are going to see while working with the Apex and all that. So locally setting, whether this particular user is from India or from the other region, you can select it. And local language is like English. And if there is any language preference, you can provide, like we have provided the language settings here, right? So based upon it, the user, while creating the user itself, we can provide some default language, so that automatically the user can get the particular language there. And approver settings, whenever this particular user is sending some approvals there. So whether these approvals can be, if your company is having some delegated approvers, like who is for providing the approval, then you can go with delegated approver. Or the approvers, if it is by manager, then you can go with the manager. So who is your approver settings? So if let's go with a manager. Now let's say I have only one user here, just using the Yaksha IT 35. So now for user Ashok, Yaksha IT 35 is going to be a manager. Receive approval request email. Only I am an approver. Only if I am a delegated approver. That means whenever the approver sent, to whom the approval should be received. This is like general basic information while creating a user. Generate new password and notify user immediately. So this will be notified to this email ID. Of course, this is like dummy email ID, but just once you created this thing, this will send a notification to the particular user. Just like creating of user thing. Here we have not provided any profile. Let me give some profile. Let me give the standard administrator for this user. Otherwise, let's go with the standard user. I'm just giving the standard user. Right? This is the mandatory field which you need to provide. It's like compulsory. This is like user details. Now, what else we need to understand this in this user details in the sense? Now, let's say I have created one user, right? After creating an user, maybe this user is not available after like 1 year. He went off from my company. He resigned with my company. For that, you can't delete the user. Just you can deactivate the user. How to do that? Click on edit. Here there is an active there. You need to deactivate the user. This only thing you can perform. So you can deactivate the user. Now what will happen? This license will be released. And while creating a new user, I could see the Salesforce license again, so that you can use this license again to the other user. Getting my point? So that means if the user was resigned from your company, you can deactivate the user, but you can't delete the user. Once the user is created in a Salesforce, you can't delete the user. That's the point you need to remember. This might be interview question again. User can't be deleted. Okay. Now let's say this is the point which you need to remember. Once it is deleted, once the user is deleted, the license can be assigned to another user. That means currently I have two Salesforce licenses. One is with Yaksha IT 35 and another is with Ashok. Now if I deactivate this user, I can create new user and I can assign this Salesforce license to another user. Right? Why? Because I have only two licenses here, user licenses. Now let's see users here. And you are trying to create a new user here. Here it shows Salesforce is not available here. Why? Because the two licenses which I have already occupied by another users. There is no Salesforce license. So whenever you are creating a new user, you can't use the Salesforce license. Why? Because we have only two Salesforce licenses, right? That's what we have seen in the company's information. In the company information, we have seen the licenses details, right? Here, the Salesforce total licenses provide 2, user licenses 2. It is remaining licenses 0. So you can't create a license. So in order to use that license, now the user is resigned from your company and this license is still with the user there. I mean to say, if you are not deactivating the account, you can't use that license. Getting my point? Users. This is how you can how to deactivate the user. Just edit and uncheck. Now let's say, what is this freeze button? Freeze is nothing but. Now let's say this Ashok is still with my company only. but he may went on the vacation. For 2 months, he is not available. He is still with my company and still with the project. But for 2 months, he is on vacation planned leave. Now, in this scenario, I will just click on freeze button. That means now the freeze in the sense, what is the difference between freeze and deactivate? In this deactivate, the license is also deallocated. This license can be used to another user. But here, just I am not deactivating, just I am freezing the account. That means I am restricting the user to access my application, even though he is provided with the license. Getting my point? This freeze is nothing but we are just freezing his account. He is still my employee and the license is still with that user. That license, I can't use that license to another user. But I can restrict the user for these 2 months. So whenever he is back, I will again unfreeze his account. That is freeze. So in the interview, they may confuse you with this freeze and delete option there, deactivate account there. In this freeze, license still with user only. Okay. But user can, but user not able to log into the sales. Okay. This is the difference between the freeze and deactivate. This you need to remember. Right? Yeah, this is about the users and so now it's like 11:25, that's fine. Tomorrow we are going to start the data model concept where actually the core subject, the core structure we are going to check, like what are the objects and all, what is objects, what is tabs and what are the types of applications and all. In the tomorrow's class, we are going to see about the data objects. Tomorrow in the sense like Monday, we are going to see the data objects, data model. Yeah, that's it for today. Please let me know if you have any questions on today's topic. Okay, I will take the silence as no question and we'll wind up the session for today and we'll continue in the tomorrow's Monday's class. Thank you all.